Hello, everyone. Today is October 16th, Monday, 2023, and it's the month of spookiness. So I thought I'd read a spooky tale of horror and absolute terror. The author of this story we're going to be reading is called the Derp Doctor, and the story is called Pretty Little Hurt Angel, Bad Dreams, Book 1. I guess trigger warning. This story contains themes of ableism, child abuse, depression, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, abuse, suicide, and assault. So, if you're not a fan of one of those themes, then, you best stop watching now. Summary of this book, or chapter, story, thing. This story does not only contain depictions of abuse, but also sexual references such as sexual assault and sexual harassment, violence / gore, and some explicit sex. You all have been warned. Summary of the story. A story about a young person who is trying to find out why the moon is calling to them. You can see the genre, its status, it's ongoing, it's got 29 chapters. I think we're just going to read the prologue. I think that's probably all I have in me. Let's begin. A war occurred around 300 years ago, 1700. This was only about 200 years after the death of mine and my sister's grandparents. In this war, the Earth realm was fighting against both heaven and hell. Both Lady Irene and the Shadow Lord, also known as David or Shad, were a part of this war. They fought on the same side, yet Shad was so distant about being on the Earthrealm side. The other divine warriors were tired of him not picking a side, so they banished him to hell. This was not the only reason that they banished him. They also banished him because everyone, but Irene, had a suspicion that Shad was working with the demons instead of working as a peacemaker with the humans. The reason that Irene didn't have this suspicion is because she saw the good in everything and everyone. She also had strong, intimate feelings for Shad. She loved him dearly. Shad had the same feelings for Irene that she had for him. In early January of 1702, Shad found a way to contact his love. Irene was very mad about what the others had done to Shad, but when she found out why they did it, she was just concerned. She loved him, but she couldn't bring herself to believe what the others had said. She had run away to a hidden cave because she didn't want to hear the others talk bad about Shad at all. Shad opened up a portal to communicate with Irene, since he couldn't physically. Shad sighed happily. What? When he saw her answer the call through the portal. Irene, it's been a bit. Are you okay up there? He asked her. I am all right. I missed you, my love, she replied, smiling at him. There was a soft smile on Shad's face. No one knew how to melt his stone-cold heart aside from Irene. Shad never let anyone into his life aside from Irene. She knew him like the back of her hand, or so she thought. She never thought he would hurt anyone, especially a child. Shad never really liked kids. He especially knew he wouldn't like a kid of his own, so you can tell how surprised he was when he met me. She knew all of his weaknesses, and he knew all of hers, which he would never use against her. He loved her too much for that. He cared about her deeply, but knew they couldn't be together because of how he was banished to hell. Irene's soul was too pure for hell, so she couldn't be there. I wish we could spend more time together, but you have a war to face. I don't anymore since I can't leave hell at all, Shad said, looking at Irene. He still was a part of the war until it ended, since the whole of hell was in war with Earth and Heaven. I know you can't leave, but I want you to know something. I love you, she said to him. Shad's heart fluttered when he heard her say that. I love you too. The portal closed right before he could finish his sentence. The portal had closed because the space in between the realms was interrupted by something. Shad knew that this war would not stop unless something good and bad happened. When I say something good and bad needed to happen, I mean that 2 children needed to be born. In order to stop the war, 2 children of both good and evil had to be born. And those 2 children happened to be born right in between the dimensions of Earth and Hell. One was born with more demon-like traits, and the other with more angel-like traits. When it comes to their souls, the girl's name was Sabrina Scarlet Hope Q, while her brother's name was a bit different. His name was more scary sounding and made sense to what he was. A guardian angel, demon, werewolf, echo, fairy, and phoenix boy. That boy is me. My name is Shugavalt Shuriknitha. I know my last name doesn't match my grandparents, but I love my last name. My middle name means strong in the Zulu language, and my last name means air in Greek. It is the name of the Greek god of air, or atmosphere. My first name means deeply psycho in Estonian. My sister prefers to be called Scarlet rather than her first name. She also changed her last name from being the same as our dad's because she liked the name Hope Q. I like it too, to be honest. It's a beautiful name. I go by Jacob! Because people have a hard time saying my real name. Both me and my sister were separated by the nature of our souls. She had more angel traits, while I, on the other hand, had more demon traits. Even though I am the sibling that is a guardian angel, I was pushed into hell and met our father, Shad. While my sister, on the other hand, met our mom. Shad looked down at me. Who are you? I'm your son, Shugavolt Shu. I know that you didn't know about me at all. I was born a moment ago. My mother, Lady Irene, loved you a lot, and I could tell you love her the same. That's why me and my sister were both born. But she was pushed out into the Earth realm. We were born in the space between hell and Earth, I said, looking up at him. He looked pissed at me. I don't know why he did. Is he not ready for a kid? I don't know, but all that I do know is that it hurt what happened that day. Why did he hit me? I didn't do anything to him. I was just born. After what happened with him, I ran to a room that I now call my own and hid in there. As I hid in the room, all I could do was think and hope that my life would get better. I know that it will most definitely take a long time for things to get better, and my life has only just begun. I hope that my sister is having it easier than me. I don't want anything bad to happen to my twin sister, or anyone who is a part of my family. Even if my dad hates me or abuses me, I'll still love him. I hope tomorrow will be better, I thought. That thought didn't last long. I only wish my life could get better. It has only just started, and it's the worst that it could ever be. I mean, I was just born, and my dad already hates me. The room I was in had red and blue walls with a blue bed in it. There was a TV and computer in the room too. There was a window on one side of the room. I decided I'd go out to the back and take a look at the garden. The garden had green and red roses with blue orchids and many more. The castle was about as tall as the Eiffel Tower in Paris will be in the future. The castle was about as wide as 5 football fields. This included the garden. The castle was as long as 3 football fields. It was very big and beautiful. The castle was red and black with a blue hue to it. I walked around the garden and saw a galaxy-looking tree. The tree was tall and looked just like a galaxy. Specifically, the Baby Boom galaxy. It seems like it leads to a different area. I walked up to it and I tapped it. When I did, all I saw was black. Then I saw a spirit walk up to me. Oh, hello, little one. How'd you get here? You look too living to be here, the woman said. I looked up at her. I just touched the galaxy tree in the back of the castle of the Light Shadows Kingdom, I said, looking up at her. The woman's eyes widened and she picked me up. She then carried me to a house not too far from where we were. By any chance, are you Shad's son? She asked me. I nodded, looking at her. She knocked on the door of the house and 2 men appeared in the doorway. Augustine and Maximiliano, I said, looking at them. You know our names? Well, how? Augustine said. The woman placed me down. Do you know my name? She asked me. I nodded. It's Leilani, and to answer your question, I'm your son's son, I said to Augustine. Their eyes widened as well. I think they knew I was coming. Or this realm knew I was coming, so it brought me here to see my grandparents. I think it is quite nice, but a little awkward. They invited me, and we talked for a bit. I do have to head back to my father's castle soon, I said, frowning a bit. But I enjoyed talking to them. They nodded, and Leilani led me back to where we met. You take care, my grandson. I'd like to meet my granddaughter someday, she said softly, petting my head. I smiled at this. It makes me feel better. I smiled and nodded. I'll try when I get the chance. She and I were separated at birth, I said sadly. Lay rubbed my head gently. It's okay. You'll see her soon again. Now you go back to hell with the living folk, she said. I hope she was right about me seeing my sister again. I nodded, then everything went black. I woke up in the garden in front of the galaxy tree. It was still glowing, but wasn't glowing as bright as when I first touched it. I want to go back there, but I think for now I should head to the library that's here in the castle. I went to the library and something fell on my head. I picked up the book that fell onto my head and looked at the title of it. The Divine Warriors and the War of the Magi was the title. There were supposed to be 7 people in the Divine Warriors group, but one of them passed away. Her brother survived, but not her. Her name was Iris Raylin Melovere. Her title was Iris the Censor. It's because she was able to sense whether people were good or bad. Whoa. Via their supernatural reasons or their aura. She passed away when she was a baby? Her older brother hid the relic that she had deep in the forest of Estonima, never to be seen again. I hope to find it because I want to give it to someone in her family. No one knows where her relic is now, or even what it looked like, but maybe someday it'll be found. I wandered back to my room and sighed softly as I sat down on the other side of my door. I don't know what life has in store for me, but I know that it will be like none other, I said softly to myself. I stared at the wall for about 5 minutes until I heard a knock on the door. Hello? I asked as I looked out of the door. Hey kid, I'm Landon, one of your guards, the man said. There's something about him I don't trust. Hi, my name's Jacob, I said to him. He nodded, then smiled lightly. This is another one of your guards, Valid, Landon said, motioning to the boy behind him. Landon then walked off and left Valad and I alone. I invited Valid into my room and sat down on the ground with him. So how did you get here exactly? He asked me. I shrugged. I honestly don't know, but I do know that because Shad and Irene had a deep love for each other, my sister and I were born, I told Valid. Valid nodded. Well, just so you know that, I'll make sure that you're okay, my points. What shall I call you? Call me Jacob, my real name is Sugarvolt, sure, but I prefer Jacob because I know that people won't be able to say my name correctly unless they know Estonian, I said with a small yet soft smile. I already know your last name, so you do not need to tell me that at all, okay, Jacob? Valid said, and I nodded. Valid and I talked for about an hour, then I started getting tired. Valid picked me up and put me into the bed that was in the room. He then tucked me in as if I was a small child. Sleep well, Prince, he said, and I nodded and fell asleep peacefully. So, that is That is the prologue of Pretty Little Hurt Angel, Bad Dreams, Book 1. I hope you all enjoyed and weren't too off-put by the themes of ableism, child abuse, depression, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, abuse, suicide, and assault. And I hope you all have a happy Halloween.